Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Goldberg Show. I have Devin with me as always, and we have another special guest with us today, Denny London. Denny, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
Oh, we're happy to have you. So Denny and I met on Twitter Spaces, and in our last episode, Mad Bull and I and Devin were encouraging people to use Twitter Spaces. So this is another friend I've met from Twitter Spaces. So glad to have you on, Denny.
Yeah, looking forward to a good conversation. I know the pre-show was good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So go
definitely
ahead and
good.
give our viewers a kind of glimpse of your background. Where are you from?
Oh wow. I mean, pretty boring actually. Like I'm just an average American living in the suburbs in Northeast Ohio, close to East Palestine. Um so I'm trying not to drink the water, but really I'm a formal do I even want to say this on the show? I'm kind of like a formal liberal turned conservative or right leaning or common sense takes on things.
Okay.
Um, I voted for Gary Johnson in 2016, and then after COVID hit, and I noticed the world going crazy, I started researching and paying attention. So, and then now I'm here with you two.
Awesome. Love to hear it, man. So I guess we're just gonna free roam this episode, but I find it really interesting that you're from Ohio and how close you are to East Palestine. I'd like you to kind of give us some background of when that incident happened, and for the viewers that don't know, East Palestine was the instance that what month did this happen that the train wreck happened in?
Oh my gosh, was that just 2 months
Yeah, it
ago? I
was
would guess like March,
February. It was
maybe
like February.
February.
February. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it
for the
I can
was.
viewers
look it
that
up
don't
real
know,
quick.
it was I think it was the most toxic waste spill in history.
It was
Devin?
pretty large,
Yeah.
It
So how
and
was,
I
crazy
yeah, it
was
was
it
pretty
during the
bad.
time that happened?
honestly, I'm like 20 minutes away, so it wasn't too crazy here as far as
Sure.
the macro level of it, but on the micro level, I
Okay.
don't even know if that's a good way to explain it, but we everybody was texting each other like, "Hey, do you smell this in the air or should we drink the water? Can we boil the water?" And it turns out you couldn't boil the water to get those chemicals out. So everybody was at the stores just buying up bottled water, just stocking up. I mean,
It
I
Oh,
bought
was,
like 12 gallons of water and like probably 120 bottles of water because we have a bunch of animals and we got to make sure they can drink water too. So it was weird,
right.
especially seeing the mushroom cloud.
Oh yeah, that'd freak me out, man. Oh yeah.
I looked it up. It was February 3rd.
Oh
So
wow.
it was right beginning of the year. So that's, what, 3 months ago, a little over 3 months ago, 3.5 months ago.
Hmm.
So, so since in that 3.5 months, what have they done? I would ask internally to rectify the situation, because I know the federal government wasn't really doing much for it, which we've talked about here 100 times. Biden doesn't do much, but sit there with that paddle and ball, like you say. I feel like that's what he does all day long. But all joking aside,
Well,
I have researched, he didn't really do much for you guys.
Well, I'll say this, Devin. He was doing well with spending our taxpayer money by going to Ukraine because that's actually when he visited the Zelensky over there. So he didn't go to East Palestine, but one thing that did happen was Trump went there with his like Trump water and like shaking hands with the people, kissing babies and stuff like that. So that was kind of like a I guess a bright moment in that catastrophe. Um, but
wow, I didn't
the
even know
EPA
about that.
went
That's
down.
that's awesome.
Yeah, the EPA went down there and they're like everything's fine, and then afterwards, everybody that went down there from the EPA ended up like having headaches and being sick and stuff like that. But the residents there today, which I'm not too close to it, so I don't want you guys to think I'm an expert on East Palestine, but the residents there are still having the side effects of it today.
Oh wow.
If I remember right, Trump brought 2 or 3 truckloads of water in, of bottled
He,
water and something like that. He spent out of his own pocket, what was it, like $150,000 or something like that, to get people water, because that's like the necessity of life.
you need it, and
Yeah.
one cool thing about the Trump water thing is you remember how they were spreading that lie on Twitter that it was like expired and like 20 years old or
Oh
something,
yeah.
or they don't manufacture it. Well, I am a community notes member, and my community notes got like approved for some leftist tweet, and it got like 30,000 like views on it. So fact check.
I did not know water expired. Our water, or Earth's 75% of it. I didn't know that water could physically expire, but that's just the crazy world we're living in right now when we put expiration dates on, water like that.
And salt.
Oh, and salt, yeah. What a crazy world, right?
Yeah, so I mean, there's been some interesting topics going on this week. I guess first, let's start with Ron DeSantis. He announced Wednesday that he's going to run in the 2024 primary for the Republican Party. I guess I could start this off. First off, I want to say, Elon, you need to fix Twitter and its servers because it crashed like 5 times on my end. But besides that, I didn't think Ron did bad, and I said this before in previous episode. The dream team I was hoping for was a Trump DeSantis team.
I think I'm in the same boat.
I mean,
I agree.
I am kind of upset that these two are kind of going head to head now. Like, I think it's not. I don't know. I don't think it's the best move on the chessboard. But I don't think DeSantis looked bad on Wednesday in his campaign video. I think it looked good. I just hope this doesn't take away like the whole aspect of like what the Republicans are trying to establish in the upcoming years.
So it is. I think it's kind of weird to push that it was a bad thing that the Twitter servers crashed, because you could also spin that as like, oh, I'm so popular that I broke Twitter. Like I'm the people's champ or whatever, but I kind of agree. Like, I think we were all hoping for the Trump DeSantis card, but it's not going to happen. But what will come out of it is we will have the strongest candidate.
Oh,
So to me, I foresee this going, realistically only one way. We were talking about this off mic, the Vivek and Vivek Ramesh, I believe is his name. And now you have DeSantis and you have Trump. I mean, in the end of the day, I don't think many people believe that DeSantis is going to get the nod when it comes to the primaries for the Republican ticket. I still think that it is far, far, far more likely that we see a DeSantis vice president ticket. And I don't think that this little falling out is going to be the end of that for that whole campaign. Because, we talk about in 2016, when he had Mike Pence, to get a certain sect of votes to bring, the fundamental Christians in. Florida's like a huge state. It's a very big state. It's a state that Trump won by quite a bit in 2016 and as well in 2020. More so in 2020 than 2016, obviously. But bringing DeSantis in, that kind of takes the people who don't like Trump's loudmouth and they like what DeSantis did, protecting the kids for the transgender and doing all the things that he's done during COVID. And it really brings a sect of people in, maybe that were already Trump, but now we're more into Trump because of this DeSantis thing. I think it's going to end up being a very, very successful campaign, and possibly, in my opinion, more successful than the 2016 Mike Pence and Trump.
Wait, so you still think it's possible, Devin, for DeSantis to be vice president for Trump?
I do. I don't think that. Excuse me. I don't think that this whole argument they're having has any real sustenance to it. It's like, if me and you were both running for, county council or something, like we would have disagreements with each other and we would battle each other a little bit. But at the end of the day, we would still be good. You know what I mean? I don't think that that they actually have a true issue with each other. Is that DeSantis wants to win? He's running to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but do you follow? Do you see what Trump says on Parler? Or not Parler, Truth? I mean, it sounds like they're going head to head at each other.
But I mean, you got to say it. Trump, as much as people want to say that he's this, and this, Trump is very passionate about the things he wants done and to make sure that they succeed in the way that he wants. And you have to kind of understand that the things that he says to DeSantis, while to some people, and even myself a little bit, agree that maybe he shouldn't have put that foot forward, as well as DeSantis shouldn't put his foot forward on this. It's all good sportsmanship. I mean, I don't see any real belief that this is going to be catastrophic to a Trump DeSantis candidacy. If 2 months down the road, if we see it,
it would be the most like the best outcome for us, like people more right leaning or with common sense takes for that to happen. And the whenever these primaries are going on, it their policies are probably pretty similar, and that's what I like to look at. Like, what is the biggest difference between like a Trump presidency and a DeSantis presidency? And I can't really think of the pro is for Trump to completely revenge tour 2025, or 2024, whatever, just destroy the administrative state. I don't know if Ron will know how to navigate that landscape. And I feel like Trump kind of deserves it, but I still believe a debate is necessary for like a healthy constitutional republic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think that's a good point you just said, Denny. Um, I think for 2024, I totally agree that I think Trump would handle it better. I think he has a better understanding of just DC in general. I mean, one Trump we all know has had high status for a very long time. I mean, he knows the ins and outs of Wall Street, now DC, and then being president. He's more well connected, I think, as a person. We could just put politics aside. He's more well connected as a person than DeSantis, and
We
I think
know
that
him
goes a
better.
long way as well. Exactly.
So if I could, I just want to break this idea in my head down that I've been thinking about for since I heard DeSantis was running. We talk about what the vice president does in its entirety of his job. Even though Kamala Harris does it poorly, I would argue that she's been a worse vice president than Joe Biden was when he was vice president.
Devin,
At
you
least we
sound
didn't
like
have
a
to hear
bigot.
Joe Biden speak. Yeah, okay, yeah, bigot, white supremacist, all races, everything. But you know, if you look at DeSantis, the vice president sits in on a lot of these congressional meetings, and is the deciding vote in the end of the day. If there's a tie, we just that's the deciding vote. And I see DeSantis being really successful at that because he has the same "I don't give a fuck" attitude that Trump has. If you don't like what he has to say, well, tough luck. And that's what we need. That's something that I feel Mike Pence really didn't have in 2016 to 2020 when he was, the vice president. And I think, like I said already once, this is going to be a far more successful presidency, in my opinion, than we saw. But how do you guys feel about, DeSantis being the vice president and having those, vice presidential duties after seeing how he's ran Florida so immaculately? I can't think of a single thing I've seen DeSantis do in his time as a governor that I disagree with.
Well, there's one thing that I'm iffy with him on, but I mean, so this could go both ways because I do not like the things that Disney have done, trying to sexualize children. But I don't. Here's what that Ron did. He's going after Disney, right? For doing those things. So here. I mean, this is me being far fetched, but if they're able to go after a big corporate business, the government and such, what stops them from wanting to go after smaller businesses in the future? That's my only thing. Like, I just kind of look like down the line. I support like what he's doing against Disney. Like, I applaud for that, but I look at it also like, oh, let's say it's not DeSantis and it's someone with a bad backbone. They could go after the smaller businesses as well.
That is an interesting take, Alec, and definitely something that we should be aware of as voters when
Hmm.
choosing, you know, if we would approve him as a vice president. Um, I don't know. Disney is just so darn corrupt. I'm gonna watch my
Oh,
language because I know you guys
yeah,
like to keep it family friendly. But
As best we can until I get under a tangent. But
I gotcha. But the fact that Disney was getting like these special tax breaks and they can govern themselves, I don't think that it should be like that. So I'm completely okay
hmm,
with dismantling Disney. I mean, they'll never die as a
yeah.
company, but
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think he'll
Hmm.
attack small business. But who know? Who
you
knows?
know,
It's just all speculation.
Sure.
if I could just touch on your question real quick, and I'll try to keep this short and sweet. Of all the Republican presidents that we've had in our lifetime, and far beyond that since Ronald Reagan, I always like to talk about this as Reagan economics. If you know anything about that, it's called trickle down economics. And the reason I feel like Trump will go after small business is because he has followed that system of Reagan economics, trickle down economics to a T. He understands that small businesses are the backbone of America. And I've in his prime presidency, he did as best as he could for the small businesses, especially during COVID, which we all know during COVID, every small business just got screwed over to the max. They weren't allowed to be open, but Walmart was. Your little mom and pop drugstores weren't allowed to do this, this, and this. But guess what? CVS and Walgreens were allowed to. And he spoke about that numerous times as president, that this is messed up. We have to keep these small businesses alive. We can't allow this to crash our economy. And he tried his hardest. And unfortunately, whatever you want to call it, the matrix, or, whatever word you want to use here, got the better of it.
So my president right now, Joseph Robinson Biden, says that trickle down economics doesn't work. How do I combat that when he says it?
Well, first of all, when you talk to Biden, throw every ounce of common sense out the way. You could just start drooling at the mouth, muttering random words, talk about corn pop and how they used to rub the hair down your legs, and how poor kids are just as smart as white kids. You have to get into that mindset.
Okay.
But when you talk about trickle down economics, it basically says that when you have money at the top, the rich people aren't going to spend all that money. They're going to constantly come down with the money, higher wages, better equipment, all that. The liberals think, and just the Democrats, obviously, in general, think that all these rich people, they sit on this money. You can't just sit on money. You have to do something with it. And these rich people, you talk about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all them. How much money has Elon Musk spent out of his own pocket on this SpaceX program? Things like that. These wealthy people are spending money, but the liberals just want that money. You know what I mean? People don't understand that premise.
The liberals are more complaining about the taxes of these 1%ers. That's what I hear them complain about, is the taxes.
That is generally what they're going after.
Right. No, yeah. But yeah, no, the trickle down economics I agree with as well. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's how, in my opinion, it's how the world goes round. It's how our economy is the way it works. It's just, I don't know, like the way you two explained it makes sense, and I'm sure someone with better understanding would explain it. It would make sense to most people if you weren't stubborn.
It always makes sense. Even anyone with any type of worldly experience would understand, if your boss is broke, it's going to screw you over. If your boss doesn't have barely enough to make your paycheck, you're not going to have much positive benefits from that. You know what I mean?
Right. And then there's no room for growth. The company won't grow. So I appreciate you helping me with the talking points against my president right now, Joseph Biden. So that was a perfect explanation of it.
Hey, don't forget about your favorite representative, AOC, okay? Oh, she likes to talk about economics, and you know what? Everything she says about the economy makes perfect sense to me. I couldn't agree with her more, right?
She's
that is something I like to do on Twitter Spaces, though, because there won't be a lot of leftists in there, because all the people that vote for the Democrats are either dead or they don't exist. So I'll push back like with the leftist talking points just to get people like wound up or whatever. I'll be like, the 2020 election was completely fair and legal. What do you think? And then like,
so you know who Jordan Peterson is, right? This is kind of off topic, but I was listening to him talk today in an interview, and do you know how he got people to stop protesting his speeches?
How?
He had them early in the morning because them lazy liberals weren't getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning to come protest his speeches. And this is what he says in his interview. And I'm like, solves all. And I think this happened like Tuesday, this interview came out. I might have just seen it on Tuesday. But I think it'd be very interesting to see if this is what, Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, who, those three people I just named are me and Alex, probably three favorite people when you talk about, the socio-political atmosphere. What's that?
So I like Dan Bongino a lot.
Oh yeah, he likes Dan Bongino. I like Dan Bongino, but I mean, to me, Candace Owens and all them are good.
Yeah, Candace Owens is good because she's always like ahead of the curve with everything. Mm-hmm. So it's good to listen to her. It's good to be very broad with like who you listen to, a very diverse and inclusive group of people that you listen to. Candace is ahead of the curve. Ben tries to stay like in a kind of moderate lane, and Dan Bongino, you could tell he wants to go down those rabbit holes. Like he wants to put his tinfoil hat on and really dive in. I love Dan. Oh, yeah.
And the Hodge twins are really good. They're, between the Hodge twins and Candace Owens, their sarcasm and its hilarity is is unmatched. You know,
Mhm.
like I don't remember where Candace Owens was speaking at, but they called her a white supremacist, and I shouldn't be surprised at the dumb stuff I hear anymore.
I'm
But
literally
even that
shaking
caught
right
me a
now.
little bit off guard. Yeah, I'm so triggered.
Yeah. Yeah, the words don't have meanings anymore, though, Devin. You know, a white supremacist doesn't have to be white anymore. It's just the whoever disagrees with the leftist talking point at that time. That's a white supremacist.
Yes, we were talking about this off mic, and let me read our show our viewers and listeners this a little bit. So I was on Twitter talking about this man who ran into the White House, and some lady had posted, American white supremacists are super progressive. They accept people of all nationalities and ethnic backgrounds nowadays. And me being as confused as I've ever been in my entire life, said, so you're saying that white supremacists are accepting all races? Doesn't go against everything they believe, which obviously I'm not condoning the things they do because it's a terrible thing. But to me, and again, this is a long shot here, the word white supremacist, if you backwards that word, means that they believe that the white people are the supreme race. Just saying, I'm just going off the two words that exist in this sentence that are tied to each other.
Hold on, I need a
So
minute.
if I were going to say that, yeah, I can hear the toast from here. I can hear the greers turning.
Yeah, I think
but
that's right.
just to
Yeah,
kind of to touch on it, that's just the political atmosphere that we're talking about. Like we joke about it, but deep down, we're all infuriated with how stupid this stuff is. If we don't laugh about it, we're just gonna lose our shit. Like.
Well, here's the sad part: is it's the fact that a lot of liberals and far left leaning people, they're not even willing to hear our side. They just scream or say what you guys just said. But that's the sad part of the reality is there's and it happens with the younger generation too. I blame cell phones for this majorly, but they're not willing to have a sit down conversation like we are, and talk our viewpoints, and they don't understand that it's okay to disagree. Like actually, I think the best person that could probably run the country is someone that has ideas on both sides. Honestly, but I
Did
think
you
that's
see
totally
the
lost in
video?
this day.
Did you see the video that came out where a lady was speaking? She's talking about how the current thing is destroying and putting trans kids in danger and bigotry. And then she looks at the camera and she goes, well, I have 90 seconds left, so I'm just going to proceed to scream for 90 seconds. And she prescribes to scream for 90 seconds into the mic.
Wait, this is
Who was this?
No, this was just some random lady. I want to say it was like at a town hall meeting or something. But I'm dead serious. I am ashamed that I watched all 90 seconds of this. But when I was about 45 seconds in, I wanted to see if she actually did it for 90 seconds, and she does.
I did see a senator screaming about trans rights. Let me see if I can find this on Twitter.
We love trans people. We need trans. The one from Nebraska.
Yes.
Y'all better not clip that. You better not clip that. Put that on a future episode. I just was requoting.
That'll be the intro to the whole show. Just Devin chanting that.
We're gonna do the Little John reverb auto tune on it.
Find that chant. She was going crazy.
She just went on but we talk about this a lot, is they always go unhinged. I've yet to see, and again, maybe because the other ones outweigh the others, but it always ends up going unhinged. And you're like, are you okay? Do you need like a Valium or a Xanax or something? Like, you need to calm down. It's not that serious. Like, they yell like they're on fire. Like the scene from Talladega Nights where he's not actually on fire.
Oh, is this the clip?
Yeah.
We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people.
Oh man.
Trans people belong here.
Jesus,
we need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people.
The thing is, I just like our viewers to know, I have nothing against the trans community as long as you're 18 or older. I just want to put that's my thing.
That's a common sense take.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and people get that confused with me is they think I'm homophobic or transphobic. No, I respect the LGBTQ community. The only thing I would like different is for things to not be shoved down kids' throats. That's all. Not be taught in schools. I think that's just, I don't know. I get called crazy and homophobic and transphobic for that idea, but you know the world we live in nowadays.
I was gonna call you a bigot, Alec, but I've already made that joke I think twice on this show, so I won't do it a third time. But you're
Yeah,
being a
3
bigot.
strikes and you're out.
But
Um,
that I mean, yeah, that's it. Like, just when you're in school, the goal should be to learn skills that help you, like get a job or do math, like basic skills. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not a societal norm for somebody to be trans. I'm 36, so I'm like a decade older than you guys. And we used to, do I say this? Like, we used to call people trannies as like a joke, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's a trend. That's what's scary right there.
Right.
just that political atmosphere surrounding this has changed. This whole Caitlyn Jenner thing happened what in 2014, I believe, 2013. We've looked this up before, but even since then, it's just became astronomically degrading to the American society.
Well,
They're teaching it in schools.
Well, it's not even they're teaching it. There was an elementary school. I kid you not. I can pull this up. I'll try to look it up once I tell you guys. They had a drag queen show perform at the school. Okay, so what's the difference if we go down to the strip club on the east side of St. Louis, hire some strippers, and say, "Hey, come here. Let's go to this elementary school. Pay you to perform here." What's the difference between the two? Like seriously.
So, it's obviously it's trying to build a new generation of what they call acceptance. To them, this is acceptance. If you don't like it, you're not being accepting. You're not being tolerant. And it's sickening. It's disgusting.
It's a weird topic to get your message across, like your point of view, because the left is so good at that with their messaging. Like you were saying, Alec, people call you a bigot and a transphobe just because you believe a like gender affirming care should not happen to like kids in school. Like, think of that term, gender affirming care, and then I won't say what it actually is, but it's absolutely disgusting. There's a ton of videos on Twitter right now showing the procedures, and it's disturbing.
And it goes so much deeper into that. I've heard someone speak about this, and I wholeheartedly agree with this. And there was actually, I believe, a bill here that was talked about that you have to go through a year of mental health before you can make the transition. You have to go through therapy. You have to go through these mental health, channels before you can do it. Because a lot of these people are sick in the head, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but
sorry, let me interrupt you. Though I found a video at the talent show. So what I'm about to show you guys. This happened at an elementary school talent show, and
this was a talent show.
This was a talent show. There was a talent show for elementary school, and they did like an intermission, and they had an adult adult drag queen perform. I'm gonna show you guys this. This is absolutely.
Let's
crazy.
go.
We're going down this rabbit hole.
So brave, so beautiful, so inspiring. It's muted.
Oh, yeah, it's muted
on the video.
Sorry, technical difficulties.
I'm still looking.
Parents of New York City public school students in District 4 went to see their kids in a talent show. But the parents saw a whole lot more than they expected. A suggestive riff on Puerto Rican performer Iris Chacon. Bump and grind in a see-through sequin dress. Mom, Raquel Morales, couldn't believe her own eyes, sitting in the audience with her 10.
Crazy.
So let me ask Denny a question real quick, because we have barely talked about this. You said you're 36. Do you have any kids?
No.
Okay, so let's pretend you had a kid. We'll use the age of 9, because I think that's really an appropriate age to talk about for this. If you found out that your 9-year-old kid was going to elementary school, had a talent show, and this happened, you took off work, you had a nice day, took him out to breakfast, blah, blah, all that stuff, and you go to the talent show and you see this, how would you feel about it?
I mean, immediately pull that kid out of that school, like homeschool them, or find like some kind of like Catholic or Christian school. I mean, this is something that Ron DeSantis is good at. Maybe a little bit better than Trump.
Absolutely.
The culture war stuff.
Oh yeah. And I'd like to.
I would need bail money. So
I'd like to jump back to the DeSantis topic. What's your guys' opinion? Do you guys think that Elon's kind of publicly announcing that he's going to support the DeSantis? What's your guys' opinion on the Elon?
Who?
I don't think so, because he even invited Biden to come on there, and which that would
Oh,
how
God.
electric would that be, boys? Having Joe Biden in the Twitter space. He invited Trump to do it, which Trump probably will do one, and he wants to do it
Oh
better,
my
do it
God.
bigger.
Right.
So I don't think he's like pro
They better do
DeSantis.
something with the servers if he comes on.
Well, if Biden comes on, you have to worry about servers because no one's going to watch.
I will. I'll
It's
listen.
going to be a ghost town. They're going to have to roll the little ragweed across the screen because no one's going to want to listen to it. People are fed up with the bullshit. They don't want to hear it anymore. But they do want to hear about Corn Pop. Keep in mind, they always want to hear the Corn Pop story.
Yeah.
Yeah, Corn Pop was
But
the
back to-
second greatest threat to this nation. The first is white supremacy. Not to circle back to that topic, but
Back to the DeSantis though. I saw a poll. It was either this morning or last night. I get the two confused because I barely sleep. But the poll showed that Trump was leading DeSantis by 31 points. With that kind of a point difference, I don't see Ron any way, shape, or form even competing. Yeah. Do you guys think that number is going to increase or decrease?
let me answer your question with a question to both of you. Have you ever been a part of these polls?
No.
Either.
We've talked about this on the podcast. I've never. You know, they say that like all these things, like 1 out of 4 people, suggest you should use, this brand of gas. I've never been interviewed at a gas station. It's the same premise. I've never been in a poll that involves anything politically besides how do you feel President Trump's doing? And I'm like, oh, what's this about? So I vote yes, and it takes me to some Chinese website. Well, goddamn, them Chinese spies got me again.
Sorry about that. The Chinese spies got you again?
Yeah, got me again.
Yeah, I can't trust them. I think they're all fake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd like to jump over to Elon though. So Elon, I'm sure as you guys know, the FDA approved Elon's Neuralink. Now, I guess I could give a rundown. I be honest with the viewers, I don't really know too much about Neuralink. It is, from my understanding, it's a brain chip that Elon is wanting to implement, and it could help health improvements. I think that's what one of his goals is. As far as other things, I haven't done too much research in this, but I do know the FDA did approve human trials as of yesterday.
It's gonna be crazy.
In a nutshell, it's just like you said, a brain chip that you could use to. I watched the video from 2 years ago, but apparently the approval allows for it to be used in humans now. It started in rats and it went to pigs. They put it in a pig and took it out of a pig, and the pig was still fine. So now they could try it with humans, and it's essentially like a Bluetooth device that's in your mind that you can control on your phone, and it could help fix a lot of mental issues. Not liberalism that can't be solved with Neuralink, but I think we have some slides that I sent you, like pictures, so we can go through each individual thing possibly. But
yeah,
Elon breaks down the mission pretty well in that clip.
Yeah, yeah. So for the viewers' attention, this video that Denny shared with me, it was from 2 years ago, but this is very interesting. And these clips are going to show you Elon kind of breaks down what Neuralink is and the purpose. And so let's get this first clip up and going, and then we'll give our opinions afterwards.
There's definitely some pros and cons to Neuralink.
This to me is the craziest thing is when they talk about in this. Actually, I'll talk about this at the end of the video. We'll play the video and then I'll talk about how I feel about it.
All right, welcome to the Neuralink product demo. I'm really excited to show you what we've got. I think it's going to blow your mind. So the primary purpose of this demo is actually recruiting. So I'm going to emphasize this at the beginning and then again at the end. We're not trying to raise money or do anything else. The main purpose of this is to convince great people to come work at Neuralink and help us bring the product to fruition, make it affordable and reliable, and such that anyone who wants one can have one. And so I want to emphasize the purpose of Neuralink. Like, what's our goal? Our goal is to solve important spine and brain problems with a seamlessly implanted device. So you want to have a device that you can basically put in your head and feel and look totally normal, but it solves some important problem in your brain or spine. And the reality is that almost everyone over time will develop brain and spine problems. These range from minor to very severe, but if you live long enough, everyone's going to basically have some kind of neurological disorder. And these range from memory loss to brain damage. But the thing that's important to appreciate is that an implantable device can actually solve these problems. I think a lot of people don't quite realize that. But all of your senses, your sight, hearing, feeling, pain, these are all electrical signals sent by neurons to your brain. And if you can correct these signals, you can solve everything from memory loss, hearing loss, blindness, paralysis, depression, insomnia, extreme pain, seizures, anxiety, addiction, strokes, brain damage. These can all be solved with an implantable
See, Alec, if you had the Neuralink, you wouldn't have been up so late last night because you wouldn't have had insomnia. Can I put this chip into your
Yeah.
brain?
Yeah. I think he's on the right path of ideas for it, but personally, I'm staying far away from that.
Same.
I don't know. It just freaks me out. Like
I
I
don't
look at
know.
it more of a surgery thing. Like the chip doesn't freak me out. The chip, but like the surgeon, like just opening your head. I don't like that.
It's done by a robot. Like that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna have the robot do the procedure, and it's.
Huh.
I mean, eventually, I think the goal is to be able to make this as easy as it is to buy a cell phone. Like you go in, you get a new Neuralink chip, you walk out. You know,
Mhm.
like I got the Apple
Wow.
Neuralink chip 12.0 or something. I definitely think it has
Can you
some.
get the Pro and get a bigger one?
I don't think you want a bigger one. I think the smaller the better, right?
Dude, man.
Is the camera any better than the one before?
It
Hey,
does
Devin, what were you
charge.
gonna say before we
Oh, go
played the
ahead.
video?
To me, the Neuralink is such a complicated thing because as we talk about, different technology advancements, even in the last, 10, 15 years, they've been used and they've been abused. Okay. So you talk about the conspiracy theories that say that the government can have access to this Neuralink and they can have you do all kinds of things. Sounds far-fetched, but to me, there's enough evidence that they're not going to use it as such. Things to change, things about you to control you. To me, it just seems really, I don't want to use the word controversial. It just seems really sketchy to me. It doesn't match up with what I think is the best use of this technology.
So if it has the power to help you walk, then I would think it has the power to make you not be able to walk. Like that there be some kind of off switch, and that's what really scares me. Do you guys trust Elon? Like I think it comes down to that too.
Do I trust Elon currently more so than I did a year or two ago? Absolutely. When he bought Twitter and he said he was going to do these things, he was going to flip Twitter, make it more free speech. And I was like, well, he's just going to buy it and it's going to be the same thing. Recently I've gained more trust in him, but I don't trust him with my life. And that's essentially what this is. You're trusting a company, a person, and your government with the entirety of your body. Because I don't know if you know this or not, and a lot of people might not know this. Your brain controls every aspect of your body. Period. I mean, so you're literally putting your life and your liberty in someone else's and some company's hands. And I'm just not for that. If you want to do it, great. That's, in 20 years, if nothing happens, maybe we'll talk about getting a Neuralink. But this is not something that I see for happening for 15 or 20 years until I feel like there's been enough, obviously trial and error, because I don't want someone touching my brain. That's another big thing. But
Is that where your
there has to
personal
be some
space
kind of
cuts
guinea
off?
pig to this. Yeah,
To,
just
to answer your question, Denny, I'm very eerie of Elon. I don't think I've really said that too much to other people, but I'm very eerie of him. I think he knows how to play both sides very well. So I don't know. I'm not saying I like him. I'm not saying I dislike him. I pay attention to like the things he says and the things he does closely because again, I think he plays both sides of the aisle very good.
If we had to have one supreme overlord of Earth, would you choose Klaus Schwab or Elon Musk?
obviously Elon Musk, because Klaus Schwab. First of all, that just sounds like a James Bond villain, and he looks even more like a James Bond villain. Honest to God, I don't know if you know who we're talking about, Alec. If you don't, he literally. I don't know if I should say this on the podcast.
No, I
But-
don't. Who is this guy?
He's the some world forum or something. He's like the World
Like
Health
the-
Department,
World Economic Forum. The people who
World
say,
Economic Forum. That's what it
yeah,
is.
you'll eat bugs, you'll own nothing, but you'll be happy.
Yeah, we talked about that on the Twitter space.
Yeah,
But
he's
he
part of the
literally
WHO?
looks like, yeah, no,
Oh,
the
yeah,
World
sorry.
Financial Forum. I was wrong.
Oh,
He looks like a James Bond villain. Honest to God, and I shouldn't say this, but he looks like if a human was turned into a turkey and then shaved. That's what he looks like to me. He just looks nefarious,
Send me a picture of
and
this
there's
guy.
something else that he
Yeah,
looks like
send
to me, but I'm not gonna say on the podcast.
Send me a picture of him. What's his name?
Well, I probably can look up a picture of him
What's his name?
You've
and
probably
share it to
seen
the
him.
screen.
He looks like a turkey shaved. Oh man.
I'm
Well,
sure
in this
people out there
picture, he
know.
looks even more like it. Did you look him up?
No. What's his name?
Klaus Schwab. Here, I'll
How
share
you
it to
spell
the.
that?
KLAUS.
USSCHWAB.
Listeners, don't judge us. We're not literacy majors or spelling bee champs.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
Show me this guy, Devin.
It's popping up. Hold on. I have to save it.
But yeah,
And after you,
back
after
to trust
Oh, go ahead.
Elon, I think he did a good thing by obviously buying Twitter. Like Twitter is obviously, we know, probably the most popular social media app in the world. And so for him buying it and giving back a space for both sides to talk, even though a lot of people on the left Twitter, that's fine. See ya. But just allowing
Fuck
people
'em.
not to be banned, I think is so incredible. But then again, I want to know.
That's what he looks like.
Oh jeez! Oh my god!
who dresses like that? Like with
Dude,
this,
that looks
looks
like
like
a
he's out
James
of
Bond
Star-
villain.
No, he looks like he's out of Star Wars.
yeah, like Emperor Palpatine or whatever the dude's name was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wish I could tell you this was a doctored photo, but this was actually one of his. I'm going to go ahead and call it failures of an outfit. And I believe this was the one that was at the G5 summit this past year. And it's just. It doesn't work like that, bud. He's a scary looking dude. And he did say what Denny said. He did say that people shoot bugs, you will own nothing and you will be happy about it.
He said this.
And
Yeah.
that's his quotation. That is what he said.
It's called
Um,
Agenda 2030, isn't it? Agenda 2030.
It is. I couldn't remember what it was called, but that's what it is.
That's a whole damn show right there.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really interested in this now. Oh my god!
Well, my biggest problem with it is I don't like world leaders telling us how to live here in America. We were in a Twitter space with I probably shouldn't say his name, but with a man from Italy on Twitter space, and he was talking, about all these things happening. I'm like, that's not how we go here in America. I may sound like I'm, bald eagle flying over the head, American flag, dual machine guns, whatever person right now. But that's not how we rock here in America. We're not going to have another country tell us how to live our lives, how the functionality of our world is going to be in its existence. We do
And
our own thing. We're America. We're a free country, or we like to, but
I just said the Pledge of Allegiance in my head when you were talking, Devin. I love that shit. But
yeah.
I think these two are linked though, like the World Economic Forum and the Neuralink, because if you're connected via Bluetooth by a chip in your head to your phone, and it can control like your depression, which means it can control how you feel. That's a lot of power, and I don't think any company, any human being should have that amount of power on Earth. Just look at how much power big tech had in 2020, just by censoring stuff and the algorithms skewing how people feel by showing them hateful content or content they were more likely to react to. So if they can control the masses with social media, imagine if this got into like a bad person's hands. Like he could do exactly what he wanted to, and
I
that's
don't remember
scary.
who asked.
That's an interesting point you said, Denny. I think I really that's a good perspective because I agree with you. Like, at what point, like, if let's say they can control your emotions, like if they wanted to, at what point, like, what makes you human at that point? Like the whole
Yeah.
point of being human is feeling emotions and like going through emotions. But if if you're going through like emotions by how you feel at the moment, that's not like really like human like to me. I don't know. That just sounds weird.
We've already evolved as humans, because when I was growing up, because like I'm not a youth like you guys. I'm 10 years younger. Like I didn't have a cell phone until I was
10 years
19.
older.
I'm sorry,
Specify older.
older, 10 years older.
Okay.
I never had a cell phone in high school. So I never was distracted by texting or scrolling through the TikTok or whatever you guys do nowadays.
You didn't have one of them kick-ass Razor flip phones?
Not until I was 19.
Oh man, you were missing out then.
So I couldn't imagine being able to pay attention in school now. I just sound like an angry old man on my front yard with that kind of technology at my fingertips. And where I'm trying to get to is what Alex said about being human. Like exactly, like what do you have left besides Elon Musk trying to get to Mars by manipulating our emotions? So I don't know. Maybe we should go with Klaus.
So I don't know, remember who asked the question, but I want to touch back on this. If I trust Elon Musk or not. I don't know if you saw this tweet come out, but he came out against George Soros, and I'm assuming both of you guys know about George Soros. But he
Great guy.
came out and he was talking about how, George Soros, great guy, 100% to the T, wants the best for America and its entirety.
I told you I play both
Not.
sides sometimes.
Yeah, devil's advocate to the max. But he came out and said that he looks like a James Bond villain, and he was interviewed, and he said the interview asked him, "Why would you say that? It's going to cost you." And he said, basically, for better words, if I lose money from this, I'd rather have my free speech than have the money and lose, the equity or whatever word would be here in the company. He doesn't. That's why I like Elon Musk at this current point, because he's done what he said. He's allowing Twitter to be a free speech platform. And as more goes on, as we progress into this more, I think even if you guys don't realize it now, is your trust in him will gain because of that.
I'm not saying I don't think Elon's a bad guy. I just think he knows how to make both sides happy. So I'm just eager to think. I just pay attention to what he says closely because I truly think that I don't know. I think he's a moderate guy. I do. Like I said,
I do too.
I think though he's very good at making both sides of the aisle happy.
Do you guys ever think he'll run for political office?
No. The
you don't think so?
People, no, the smart, successful people don't run for office. It's the people who don't have any other skills that usually run. People like AOC. But if you're a businessman,
oh my God, if she runs for president,
you wouldn't vote for her.
Oh my gosh!
Look, I think
you've just made my night.
We need to do a healthy exercise. I need you, Devin, to say something nice about AOC. I cannot move on in the conversation until you say something nice.
She is the best bartender that serves in Congress.
I'll give it. She's a good
That's what I'll
looking
give you.
lady, but I can't agree with her on absolutely anything, and I think she's a donkey. But she's an attractive woman.
Okay, I'll say I think it's great that she partnered with Matt Gaetz to try to pass a bill so that there could be no insider trading while they're in Congress.
Oh yeah.
See, that is one thing. That's the nice thing I'll say. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I said that first.
Okay, well, you could edit it
which,
afterwards,
obviously,
right?
obviously, Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein, if she's not a pile of ass yet, she's got to be older than dirt at this point. And she looks like it, but they were really mad about that.
Yeah, they don't like her.
About
They don't
AOC
like. They
and
want her to
Matt
resign.
Gaetz?
Go ahead. Sorry.
You're saying Nancy Pelosi and the other lady you mentioned are mad at AOC for agreeing with Matt Gaetz?
In 2016, 2015, I think it was right before Trump became president, she was caught doing insider trading, which basically the government, someone in the government has insider knowledge about a stock that about to go up. In her case, it was before Microsoft signed a $40 billion defense contract. So she bought up Microsoft super cheap. It was like $100 a share or something. And then it came publicly weeks later that they'd signed it was like $40 billion, wasn't it, Denny?
Yeah, I think that's
It was something. It was in the billions. It was a high number, and those shares jump up astronomically. I think they jumped to like $215 when this came out. So then she sold them for $115 profit. That's what insider trading is. If no one knows what that is, and it should be illegal.
Absolutely.
It's like athletes betting, sport gambling, essentially.
Essentially,
same
and
concept.
it really shows the morals.
Mm-hmm.
You were given this security clearance to know about this, and you used it for personal gain. Do you know how much Nancy Pelosi's net worth is?
Oh, I don't know. It's got to be 100 million around there.
I bet you it's more than that. Anyone want to take a guess?
What do you think, Alec?
I don't know. I was saying what you said, 100 million. I mean, that's a lot of money.
So they make her net worth is $114,662,521. Okay.
What's her salary?
That's what I'm looking up. I bet you this is about to shock people, and this is about to be a whole different perspective people don't think of. The salary of a U.S. representative is. Hold on, I'm reading. Sorry.
You're good.
$174,000.
Okay, hold on. I'm doing.
When she was a majority leader, though.
How many years did she serve?
Oh, how long have we been a country? Since 1776, so 1748.
Could you look that up for me real quick? Like actually,
I can absolutely.
Because I just
absolutely can do that.
But put numbers together here.
But save this number because when she was the majority leader and the minority leader, she made $193,400. So she gets a almost $20,000 pay boost.
Little pay raise.
Yeah,
I mean
the numbers and months or just the. Numbers.
So she has been in office since 1987.
Okay.
Oh, 36 years.
36 years.
That's when I was born. So, got you. I'm not that good at math.
I'm not sure how often they get paid, but let's just play it by they get paid once a month, okay? So, let's see here. 1 times 36 times 174. Okay, whoa. That means this is before tax, obviously. That number does not seem right. Hold on. 174,000 times 36. 6,264,000. That would be.
Is that what she's made from her career?
Yes, before taxes though.
And so she is worth $114 million. $114,662,521.
There's no way.
God.
Like no, I trust the number, but I'm saying there's no way that she
Yeah.
made that money legitly. Like the average person
Right.
cannot turn that kind of profit and pick the perfect stocks. It's totally corrupt.
Oh, Obama's net worth is not as high, but Obama's net worth is astronomically high for a $250,000 a year job. You know, it's I'd even be scared to look this up, to be honest with you.
I think
Obama's net worth
the overall
Look at
$70 million.
wow. Great guy though. Great guy.
Yeah, great guy. His healthcare plan worked out great for every American citizen.
You're not going to lose your doctor.
Yeah, you could stay in the networks you want. You can keep your doctor. You know,
I do think it's important to hear these numbers though, because like you said, Devin, the average person probably doesn't know how much money these people are worth. And then when you think about what the purpose of our government is, especially in like a constitutional republic, it's so that the average American's voice is heard and represented. And I don't feel like people like Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama represent me.
So here's the crazy thing about this and you touched on it great. People don't understand how these people are getting this money because they don't talk about it in the mainstream media very much. You know, a president in 4 years would make $1 million to the T before taxes. They make $250,000 a year, which, you know, Trump donated everything but 1 cent. Or was it $1? It was one of the two. I think it was 1 cent. So 1/70th of Obama's net worth he made from being president. Where's the other 69 of, you know, the percent come from? How did he get $69 million?
Yeah. And also, just I want some viewers to know because I've one of my old friends. I should call him an old friend. I don't really talk to him anymore. He tried saying to me that sometimes my math doesn't add up, so I'm just trying to make this simple for him. So we're talking about Nancy Pelosi again. There's her salary, $174,000, right? Times it by 36 years. We're saying that she got paid once. Salary by number of years she worked. She made $6.2 million as her salary, but she somehow ended up with 114,000 or 114 million. So I just wanted to clarify some numbers for some people here.
I just want to tell you that your math is racist and you are a bigot for that.
I'm glad you said it,
it wouldn't
Devin, because
surprise me.
I was literally shaking.
How dare you speak out about Grand Supreme Leader Nancy Pelosi?
That was impressive math, though, Alec. Good job.
Yeah. Your second grade math teacher would be very, very proud of you for that.
Yeah, no, but I think you guys are hitting the home run on this. Like, it's very important, and I don't know, like, how long do you think this has been going on for? And it just now got caught to the light. That's the question. Like, I can guarantee there's been people. This has been going way farther than we could probably even imagine.
So, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm gonna say it. It's not my show, so if it gets banned, it's not my fault.
Not my problem. Not my show. Not my problem.
Those listening on audio, you didn't see their faces. I'm not going to say anything bad, actually, but I believe we lost the War of 1812 and we're still part of the British monarchy, and everything's always been corrupt.
That's some Joe Rogan-esque shit right there. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, think about it. They came through. They burnt down the White House. We lost a war to Canada, got the shitty side of the falls, and then all of a sudden everybody leaves and goes home like nothing happened.
Yeah, that definitely seems weird, for sure. Like it doesn't add up.
But I think it's always been corrupt though. Like especially since when people figured out probably 70s, 80s, like as soon as we got off the gold standard, I think that's when it went downhill and people started saying, we could just print money and just make it up. Let me just own a bunch of houses and never mind. But yeah,
but that's a great point. The fractional banking system, when we went away from the gold standard, we just started fugazing money into existence.
Fugazi.
Dude, 10% of the money that we print actually goes into circulation. These banks have $200 million and go try to take $2 million of that from a bank. They will tell you no, that you have to give them 2 weeks. Yeah, even try to take $5,000 out. It is ridiculous. If I give you my money, I mean, if I have $2 million and you don't have that in your bank, great. Send me to your headquarters. Like I bank with U.S. Bank. Send me to Minneapolis and get my $200 million. You should have it there and save somewhere. But if I walk down to my local branch and I say I want to pull out $15,000, and you say you have to give us 1 week, no, give me my money.
They don't have it.
They don't. You know why they don't have it? Because they don't have that money in circulation. If everyone in the United States wouldn't even try to take out a quarter of their money, a tenth of their money that they have in their bank account, the entire banking system would collapse because they don't have that in paper currency. We do not possess the physical currency for that.
Alec, is Devin?
And that's what's crazy.
Is Devin always this passionate about this topic?
Yeah. Because it's going to destroy our economy.
Yeah.
Passionate is a very soft word for how I feel about this. I just don't like dumbassery. If you're going to print money, back when it was backed by a gold standard, that $1 bill means that we had $1 worth of gold for that dollar bill. It hasn't been that way since, what was it, 1984?
That would be an ironic year. I don't know the exact year, but
Well, I'll look it up and I'll tell you in a second.
While you look that up, Devin, I have another video that I want our viewers to see. This jumps back over to the Elon and Neuralink topic. This video is about 3 minutes long. And also for the viewers, if you guys want to watch this video, it's like 112. Jesus, I really am a carpenter. It's an hour and 12 minutes long. I'll put the link in the bio. But this is another interesting segment from the video I'd like to share with you guys.
I think it was a good transition because somebody said, because Devin said 1984. So it works.
It's 1971, actually.
Or other game play.
Also dark. So our first clinical trial is aimed at people with paraplegia or tetraplegia, so cervical spinal cord injury. We're going to enroll, we plan to enroll a small number of patients to make sure the device is safe and that it works in that case.
Yeah, so actually just to elaborate on that, if somebody is like a severe spinal cord injury, to the degree that they have very limited control even over their facial muscles, then but with this implant you can actually think just by thinking you can output words, and you can type, and you can control a computer, control a phone, and which is pretty wild. And I think something that's very exciting as a long-term application is if you can sense what somebody's trying to do with their limbs, what they want to do with their limbs, then you can actually do a second implant that's at the base of the spine or wherever, just after wherever the spinal injury occurred, and you can create a neural shunt. So I think long-term, I'm confident that long-term it will be possible to restore somebody's full body motion. So if somebody even has a severed spine, they will be able to walk again. They will be able to use their hands. And like when you have a severed spinal cord, you essentially have broken wires. And so if you can just jump over those wires and transmit the signals over those wires, you can give somebody the ability to walk again naturally.
So, starting with you, Denny, what's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, I think it would be absolutely amazing for this to only be for like health industry use and not really commercial use, kind of like how we were talking about a little bit earlier. I think it's a little scary, but just imagine if you had somebody like Stephen Hawkins. You guys know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Hawking.
Yep.
Okay, so I said it wrong 3 times. Imagine if you had him who could actually like walk, talk, and speak. How much more he could have got done with his amazing life. So that I think there is a scientifical benefit from it. But I'll be honest, boys, it scares the shit out of me, like the potential for it.
And I agree with you 100%. And like I said a little bit earlier, the what if game is really what we're fighting with here. what if it does work? What if, it allows people who have been spent their entire lives being paralyzed, being paraplegic, from the neck down, whatever it is, from the waist down. What if it does allow them to walk and this is their first time walking? It's a great medical breakthrough. How long is it going to be until it gets abused? And that's what I'm more concerned about. When they require you to start doing this stuff and having this in your head because, you have, depression or schizophrenia. It's my problem with this is when they start forcing you to do it. And that will not be far after that this becomes public, if you ask me.
Well, another thing I think that scares me with the Neuralink, which is something completely separate from Neuralink, which is something that we're now facing is AI. I mean, can you imagine if those two somehow collide with each other? Like, I don't even want to think about something like that. Like, that just scares the living hell out of me.
And it's very possible.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, technology's coming, it's developing so quick now that, I don't know. I don't want to go too off the rail here, but I think it's being developed too quick, and it's getting scary. Like if I don't know, something bad could happen, in my opinion, if they're not careful. Like Elon Musk said on Joe Rogan's podcast with AI, like you got to put an end. You got to put your foot down on it at some point, or else if you let AI like fully like do its thing, it will be bad.
When you have someone like Elon Musk that came out and is publicly severely against AI, it kind of makes you wonder, because we're talking about, I mean, he didn't solely invent this Neuralink, but, he has a great factor in this and has a lot of ideas that have succumbed to where we're at right now. If he's against AI, I think that's enough for me to have already been pretty much against AI, but to push me over that threshold of, yeah, you're right. I definitely do not like the AI system.
How much more technology do we need? Like really? How much more how much faster can phones get? How much faster can computers get? Like what is going to be the end goal, which Alec touched on perfectly earlier, talking about like kind of like what is humanity at that point? Where we're just Neuralinked up to our AI machine and we're just laying there with goo flowing through us to keep our hearts beating or something. Like is that living like the Matrix? I took it to a dark place. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We've talked about this numerous times on this episode and before. When we talk about things like this that are revolutionary, things that are the new ideas, there's always going to be, at least in me and Alex's head, the speculation that it's going to be abused in the way that it is used. I know that kind of rhymes, and I'm not trying to be Dr. Seuss or nothing, but because they've proven time and time again that it's great, like it'll be great
Act.
for everyone, and then it gets abused. The Patriot Act is a great example. The NSA, I'm telling you what, my NSA agent is probably going to go through some therapy or something, because he sees a lot of dumb, funny memes and all that stuff. I'm sure he's listening to this episode in the end when this gets published, and I just want to tell you, it's your own fault you signed up for this dumb job, okay? You did this to yourself.
Oh, man.
Hopefully we all three have the same one. Hopefully it's some, poor guy living in Houston, and it comes home, he's like, yeah, them fucking crazy conservatives again. You should see the stuff that they're following and posting and listening to and talking about.
Yeah. Back to the Neuralink, though. I support it as in the fact of what they were saying in the segments, and I'm going to go back. I haven't even watched the full video yet. I'm going to go back and watch this thing fully. But I support Neuralink in the fashion of helping health improvements, like they were saying, if it could fix people being paralyzed, if it could fix like critical things like that, people being able to talk, like, dude, that's a breaking point in history.
It's
Like,
amazing.
that can seriously like change the world. I would support that, but then again, back to what we all three agree on is you put that in the hands of someone with a bad backbone, that's just scary stuff.
And then what? You have the government regulate it? Can we trust our fucking government to regulate anything besides into the ground?
And now it's hard. I mean, I can see how people would even argue, how can you trust them with your medical stuff after what happened 3 years ago?
What happened?
Some people don't trust the medical the medical professionals anymore. So at some point, I could see people saying they're staying away from it completely, which I would say I am for sure. But it'd be interesting to see how things pan out.
It's one of those things where unfortunately we can only find out if we allow it to happen, kind of thing. And I don't mean that like allow them to abuse this and whatever, blah blah. But as just to put politics to the side, I'm willing to allow this, in my head to happen because it'd be great. It'd be great for all these people to have, insomnia fixed, being able to walk again. But I think that people don't get their hopes up too much, and we're going to see this come back to bite a lot of people in the ass. And I'm sorry to say that, and I feel bad for saying that to a degree, but I also feel like it kind of gives people a false hope. You know what I mean?
That's true.
People are going to
Yeah, good
spend this
point.
money to get the Neuralink, and it might not work, and then you just gave them false hope.
Yeah, and then you'll see everybody just tweet at the same time, vote blue no matter who. And it was the Neuralink that did it.
It'll literally be The Walking Dead.
Could be. It looked like San Francisco.
But
Wow.
it almost becomes too suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
If they started doing stuff like that, then an even greater question is, and we haven't talked about this yet.
In my opinion, the higher elite, they don't care if they're suspicious or not. Look at the pandemic. They were.
How would you
abundantly
get your
clear.
Neuralink removed, though?
You go back
Can
to
you?
the
I
same
mean, when you get
robot.
this Neuralink,
Yeah.
but they're gonna have things in place that you have to have a valid reason. You can't take it out yourself, so it's not like they can just refuse you to not take it out.
That's true.
And that's also a scary part that I just realized as we were thinking about this is, if I get a Neuralink and I'm like, yeah, this thing's making me feel weird. Like, I'm like looking up like AOC videos, like her best speeches and stuff. I need this out. And they go, well, it's permanent. Well, no, I want it removed. Like this is, a medical procedure.
Why
I
do you
want
want
it
it
gone.
removed?
No.
Why would you try to kill your
Sorry.
grandma? Why are you trying to kill my grandma?
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many crazy things that could happen. And until I see more evidence and I honestly see more rules put in place for this, I think that this isn't going to really go anywhere to a degree, possibly. It's so hard to tell, We're none of us are medical professionals. So we can't talk about the anatomy part of this and the biology of how this works and and how this is going to work out for people. We can only talk about, the implications of the negative.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can just give our ideas and opinions.
But I don't want to sound pessimistic about it because it could be a great thing. And I am being slightly pessimistic about this because I just know how this is going to go.
Yeah. It will be interesting for sure. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see exactly what their end game is, but we've been recording for almost an hour and 15-minute, boys. Is there any last things you guys would like to touch base on?
No specific topics, but when you're out there in the wild, try to engage with a liberal, somebody moderate. Just don't insult them right away. Try to have like a regular conversation with them because at the end of the day, they are people. They're not on the Neuralink yet, so you might be able to change their mind.
Sure. No, that's an important message. I think you just said, like, we were talking about this actually off camera right before we started recording, and we were talking about how people are not like willing to hear the other side anymore, and like that's a big problem in our society. I think is like left can't talk to the right and the right can't talk to the left. Like if someone could just if we could just sit down and like agree to disagree on topics and say, okay, we agree to disagree on this topic, but on this, I think we can agree on. So let's pursue the things we agree on. If we can start having those topics again, hell, I think this country would be in a much better place.
Yeah. So, are you saying we can make America great again?
Oh, 100%. But yeah, like I was saying in the beginning of the show, I encourage all of our listeners and viewers to get on Twitter Spaces, man. Twitter Spaces is an interesting place. You meet cool people. It's how I met you, Denny.
Yeah.
And the topics that people talk about in there, is this it's interesting, and the thing I love about Twitter Spaces is just hearing other people's viewpoints and being able
Regular
to talk
people.
about them. Yeah, I mean that's what I find interesting is hearing other people's opinions because honestly, that's how I mean I learn stuff from other people. So it's
Yeah, and
interesting to hear the things I say.
they don't discriminate. Like if you have 10 followers, if you have 10,000 followers, you could still request to
Right.
speak and make your voice heard. It's the public town square, as Elon
Oh, for
says.
sure. And I think I don't know how well it's been doing as far as the Twitter app, but do one of you guys know how well it's been? Like how like has Twitter like if they showed like ratings of how like interaction has been within Twitter Spaces?
I haven't looked up numbers.
I haven't seen anything.
No,
If I had to guess, dude, it's only gone up.
probably.
Again, I got unbanned, Denny. I don't know if I told you this off camera earlier, but I got unbanned from Twitter. I got banned in 2021 for making a tweet saying I can't say the word because YouTube will take it down. But I mentioned the C word, and
Oh,
yeah, I mentioned something along the lines of this was a man-made, you know, and
mhm.
I got Twitter went crazy on me. They like sent me like 2 emails saying that first they're investigating my tweet. Well, first I'm sorry. First they sent me an email saying that my tweet was disinformation and I'm spreading disinformation. Then I got an email from them. I wish I still had these emails so I could share them with you guys. I mean, I had to make a whole new email. Then the second email they said was they're going to review my account because I'm spreading disinformation. That's when I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? I made one tweet of my opinion. And then thirdly, the third email said that they found me spreading false information on my account, and I was apparently
Damn.
having hate speech as well, and that they banned me.
How big was
And
your
then
account?
I only had like 500 followers, but this was before I came out with my podcast. I was very vocal, and as you know, like on Twitter, like you can't type out things very long. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like a brief summary. So like on my brief summaries, I would sound aggressive in some tweets. People respected it. And I'm sure the other people were like, "Whoa, dude." I mean, the whole reason for me coming out the podcast was so that way I could express my views better. But yeah, I guess some people took offense to the things I was saying without having a full understanding of like the background behind it. And old Twitter being old Twitter, they went crazy over that.
I find that insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had more followers than the actual true follower number for Joe Biden's Twitter. So around 500 to 1,000.
You could have got more voters.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. He's the most
More
popular
legitimate
person in history.
voters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, I know one thing that really pissed off Twitter was I don't even think I said this on camera, but one thing they were sending me emails about. I was comparing Antifa. I would post videos of Antifa and I would put hashtag domestic terrorist, and they were saying that it was wrong and that they're not terrorists. And I was
oh my
they
gosh.
went crazy over it because I was labeling them. I was like, this is domestic terrorism, as they're like burning down a church or a building. And I was just
It's
saying,
mostly
yeah, this
peaceful.
is terrorism. Yeah, peaceful.
Yeah.
We
Just
had
like the BLM riots.
right. I know we're trying to wrap up here, but there was a little scuffle in a town near me called Youngstown, and they bust all kinds of people in for it. They bust the Antifa people in.
Wait. I need to know more about this story. Start from the beginning.
So
did all their parents have to sign permission slips to get them out of the basement, or
Dude,
what was the story there?
I have no idea.
What happened in Youngstown?
Well, no, it was when George Floyd died, our Lord and Savior George Floyd, and
hey, 3 years of sobriety.
oh my gosh,
That's
is
dark,
that the
man.
meme?
That's
Yeah,
dark.
that's the current meme going around.
Oh wow, but yeah, there was stuff going on in downtown Youngstown, and like one of my buddies went down there. He's like, "Hey, you want to come guard the liquor store with me?" I'm like, "No, I'll stay. I don't want to get like assaulted or burnt down. That's not my city I live in anyways." But yeah, they were busing people in and dropping them off on the highway too to block the street, to block the highway. So these people were not locals. They are paid fucking actors or whatever, paid activists rather. A lot of them are.
By Soros, generally.
Yeah, and you only need a couple people to aggravate a crowd. Like a lot of them
Right.
will be real people, but if you get one person that throws a brick and there's a pile of bricks there, I don't know about you guys, but
Right.
I'm throwing that brick as far as I can.
Yeah. Oh, I remember also. I'm glad that we brought up Antifa. There was a video during the riots of the Summer of Love. There was a video. Literally, it showed it was in New York City. I don't know who dropped off these pallets of bricks, but it was just what you were saying, Denny. That there's these pallets of bricks in the middle of a street in New York, and obviously the riots were going on, and it's like someone placed these items there for them to like obviously be destructive.
It's insane. Once you start paying attention, you cannot be liberal or think that these people are that the left is correct on anything, pretty much any matter.
Oh,
Maybe
100%.
it's insane. Devin, thoughts?
You know, it goes without speaking how I feel about Antifa and all this thing and all those things like that. It's crazy to me. I was actually reading today that BLM is $8.5 million in the hole, and they're about to file for bankruptcy. And as sad as it is, because I've stood wholeheartedly that Antifa and BLM and all these and all these places and people, and they're not spending the resources right. How
No.
did BLM be $8.5 million in the hole? Well, let me explain to you. The owner
here's
of
the
BLM
thing.
has all these mansions, and she pays her brother and one of his friends $1.7 million a year for a security detail. That's how you get $8.5 million old. You pay two people. That's what would that come out to be? $850,000 a year for security detail.
Shit, I wish I had that job.
Doesn't
Two
sound too
people.
bad.
$1.7 million.
But
Pile of bricks
talking
next
about
to you.
BLM, I just wanted to give my input on it real quick because I don't know if I've said this on the podcast at all. I think BLM, the moral of it is good. Like obviously, like that sounds good. Black Lives Matter. Yes, that sounds like a good message. But the people who run it, and yeah, especially the people who run it, are manipulators, I think. And then there's bad trees that fall from that, or bad apples that fall from the tree, as always. So I think the majority of the people that believe in BLM don't really necessarily believe in like the rioting and the looting aspect, but because there are bad people in the world, they did those things under BLM, and they make the group look bad because of those actions. It's the same thing with the Proud Boys, essentially, of how they make Trump supporters look. But
Yeah,
again,
you can't say you're
right. Go on, Denny.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like, I think the BLM message is very pure. I don't know who could argue that the message is clear, like Black Lives Matter. Like, yeah, I think
That's
most
all you
people
mean
would
by
say
message,
yes.
though, right? Just like the
Yes,
name.
yeah, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Because if you read
like
their
it has
7
a good.
demands,
Well, I think they have a good way to reach people, like get people's attention. But the people who are in charge of the organization are manipulative. That's what yeah. Like they're not the
100%,
right
and
people to be running a company.
that's a messaging thing too. Like they're way better at
Mhm.
messaging than the right is. They're better at marketing because they got all these liberal arts degrees, and we're uh, construction workers and truck drivers and plumbers, stuff like that. That's what the right side is. We're not good at messaging, and I'm hoping
Right.
2024 we get better at it. We need to.
And I think we will. I think that enough people are fed up with, it's going to age me when I say this word, but it fits. Everyone's tired of the malarkey, the smoke in the mirrors, the craziness, the lying, and all of that. Yeah, that's the word from your generation right there.
So
okay?
I know we
But,
said we are gonna wrap up the episode, but I'm glad. Well, now I don't want to because now my engine's kind of going. Then we're talking about the upcoming election. I wanted to give you guys my input. Something that scares me about this upcoming election is it's seriously Generation Z, my generation. First off, I think I'm the first year of Gen Z, which is 1997. So I think I'm the first year of Gen Z, unfortunately. But I think the older generation of Gen Z, so I'm going to categorize them like 21 to 26 because I'll be 26 tomorrow. I think the older generation of Gen Z, Denny, I think you're Gen X, or no, you're
No,
millennial. You're
I'm a
millennial.
millennial, yeah.
Okay.
Dang
the
old
Gen
millennials.
Xers, the Gen Xers and the Boomers, like they really need to be careful on how people categorize Gen Z people, because if you take people from my age group compared to 18-year-olds that are going to turn 18 next year, it's two different sides of a mirror. I mean, I mean, we grew up in very different times, even within the span of 7 years. I mean,
Right.
me and Devin also grew up in a time where we didn't have a phone all the way through middle school. Like I didn't get my first smartphone until high school. Obviously, for you, Denny, it was different. You didn't have
Same.
your first cell phone until after high school, so it's a completely
We'd use
different
rock
world,
and chisel.
right? But I mean, like, so
Smoke signals.
I know one of my old friends used to be a teacher, and she was a middle school teacher, and she would say all these kids, they have smartphones and they're just always on their phone all day. Like, and here's the problem is I think the left is very good at this. They are pursuing the younger generation by these TikTok influencers, these YouTube influencers, because one, they're paying them, we know that. Two, that's what kids are into. I mean, shit. If you take away social media, what's the average American kid gonna do nowadays without having a phone in their hands? They're gonna go crazy. They want to
Yeah,
know what to
you're
do.
right.
And the exact point I'm trying to make here is the people that are 21 to 26 years old now. We grew up in a time like you, Denny, wherever we would go outside and play until the streetlights came on. We
We'd ride
knew what
bikes.
that lifestyle was. Right. We knew what that lifestyle was at some point, but we also saw the growth of technology. And I could say, as an older Gen Z, that's what scares me, is seeing how much the social media has grew. Like, let's just go back 15 years ago. Let's compare MySpace to Facebook nowadays. It is crazy different. MySpace was an open platform, like it was awesome. Facebook is holy shit. Like, you gotta be really careful what you say. I've been banned on Facebook multiple times, but
Denny could probably still remember who his top 5 friends were on MySpace. If you give him a minute.
I still remember mine. Shit, I was on MySpace for a while, but yeah, I just think the older generation, like, it bothers me because I hear it so much at work. They're like, "Oh, these Gen Z." I'm like, dude, like, I'm different from like a 15-year-old. Like, we have different,
Right.
like,
I'd explain that all the time to people.
they don't.
You know, I'm not
understand
your
that,
average
though.
25-year-old.
Right. I mean, I get there are a
That's like an
majority of
insult.
our generation, Devin. I would say a majority of our generation. I don't even know. Yeah, majority. I'm gonna go with. I would
Vast
say
majority.
they are. I would say manipulated by social media influencers. Like, the problem is they don't know how
Shit.
they don't know what critical thinking is. That word doesn't exist, or they never heard of critical thinking. They don't know that you can look up stuff on your own. That's the problem with today's world, and that's
You
what
can
scares
think
me.
on your own?
Well, right.
Huh.
That's what they're. That's what's scary about this election, though, is our generation. Like, I have a feeling that our generation is gonna, like, kind of be pushing blue, like, hardcore, and they're gonna be. I don't know. It would be interesting once election day comes, but I think we're gonna see, like, maybe a record number of, like, the younger generation voting. And I really hope I'm wrong by me saying they're gonna vote blue mostly. I really do. But the younger kids, like,
yeah.
but the reason I say that, I'm sorry to cut you off, but the reason I say that I think we're going to see the most out of the younger generation voting is because of these social media influencers. Look at 2020 election; they were talking about voting all over the place, all over social media. You have these kids that are seeing it on the social media apps. Oh, well, it's the cool thing to go vote. It's the cool thing to go vote for this candidate because he or she said so. That's the type of
And,
world we're living in nowadays.
and imagine how, like, it's easier for a younger generation to figure out how mail-in voting works versus an older person who's like, how could I vote if I'm not at the polls? Like, I don't understand. But a Gen Zer more likely to just fill out the application online, get in the mail, and just mail it back. So it is scary.
Right. Oh, dude, it's terrifying. And like, who was I talking about this the other day with? I was talking to someone, and I was mentioning, I have a family member that's younger. It's like 10 years younger than me, and there was one day that she had friends over at my family's residence, and just the conversations I was hearing. I don't want to get too deep into it, but just the conversations, was like, what the fuck? Like, I was not talking about these sort of things at 15, 16 years old. Like, I didn't they had no care in the world about politics at 15 or 16 years old. You know what I was doing at 15 or 16? I was chasing
What's that?
women and being a dumbass in high school.
Was the first one chasing women?
Yeah.
Amen, brother.
I wasn't
Amen.
worried about politics at all.
No.
It's I don't know, it's not healthy for
Well, no,
kids to be
so
focused on it.
younger kids are talking about politics more because they've been drug into it more than any generation has into politics.
Because
Maybe
of
that's
social
controversial.
media.
Maybe I'll backtrack on that. It's not just social media. It's we talk about the transgender movement, and you talk about all these things that kids are kids at 15, and I'm calling them kids. Teenagers, whatever you want to call them. They're not as completely stupid as we like to lead on. They know that what's going on is wrong, and they're trying to get their opinion out. As much as I was into politics when I was 15. I firmly remember I voted in my first election. My birthday's in November. My first, like, within a couple days of my birthday, I voted for Trump. And as you did, you were old enough to vote with Trump. And it's just kids now are getting more into politics because they're being forced to through the indoctrination of schools and just it being brought to their foreground more so than probably ever.
Man,
Yeah. I
Devin,
mean,
you just hit real quick, Alec. Like Devin just hit the nail on the head with kids are more we're forced kind of to get more involved with politics. Like think of the number one thing the past 3 years. That C word, COVID. I'm not gonna say anything bad about it.
Oh,
Um,
COVID.
yeah,
Well, you can
like
say whatever you want on the podcast.
yeah, but
you
think
gotta be careful with
like
YouTube.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything bad, but think of what COVID did. Like it shut down. It caused them to have to go to school from home. It separated them from their friends. And think about who like stopped the COVID, Joe Biden. Think about who was president when it started, Donald Trump. They pushed that message. Damn, that's a dangerous
Oh,
combination.
yes. It is. And what's that one guy's name? The Harry Sison? How do you say that
Is
guy's name?
Sisman?
Oh my god, dude. All right, so him and his boyfriend, I forget his boyfriend's name. They were
Chris.
on Tim Pool. Yeah, Chris. I don't even know the guy's last name. They're on Tim Pool though, and Harry's boyfriend. Literally, they made a clip of this. Harry's boyfriend was like, "Oh, Democrats, I can admit, do awful and terrible things, but I'll still vote for them no matter what." And Tim Pool was like, "Oh my god, that's like the clip of the century. Clip that right now." And Harry's boyfriend, as soon as he realized what he said, he's like, "Oh my god, do not clip that. That sounds so bad." And it's like, dude, that's how like literally stupid you are.
Gotcha.
They're not real
The
people.
Dave
Those
Chappelle
videos are not
reference.
real. I've been in I was
No.
in a space I was in a space the other day with Harry. Like he was talking in
Uh-huh.
it and he doesn't talk like that in real life. Yeah,
Like
he
he
likes
does.
to
He's
join
not like up.
yeah, he's not
Like
like
he
all
can't talk
crazy
like he
like
does
that.
in videos.
He does know
Oh,
his
the
shit.
thing is like I feel like he's reading off something like, and he's also, dude, he's got to be on Adderall. I mean, talking that freaking fast,
100%.
like, dude, like
Confirmed.
holy shit, man. I used to be
Y-
prescribed on Adderall, so I would know. Trust me.
Yeah, it's a good person to follow on Twitter is the political palm.
Mm-hmm.
The political palm because he likes to join her spaces when she has them,
Really?
and he'll always talk in them. I mean, but I feel like he has an Excel document. He types in what people are talking to him about, and he can name off and rattle off bills. Like he is professionally trained. He's like the Antifa of social media from the left with how he just can attack people with it. So we need
Mm-hmm.
animals like that on the right that are younger. You guys aren't
Right.
really you're like
Right.
elder Gen Z. We need younger Gen Z that can handle
Right.
that type of thing.
And that's a yeah, and that's something that I've been trying to tell people, especially on the podcast, is like I'm like, yo, like if you got like a younger sibling, like if they ask you a question, I don't know, like Tell them to just be like critical thinking. Like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
have them look into things for themselves. Don't tell them to believe what Jake Paul or what I don't even know the other Paul's brother's name.
Logan.
Yeah, whatever. Don't believe what they say or see. That just shows you how much I know much about this culture. I can't even name the Paul brothers.
Well, I'm kind of ashamed to have known that. I'm not gonna lie.
But well, that's the point that I'm making is like they believe what those people are saying, and what those people are saying is a one-sided agenda, and they're not willing to look it up for themselves. They're not willing to look into the details, which is crazy to me because our generation, in my opinion, is probably the best of technology. It's very, very easy to look up things.
Very
Very
tech
easy.
savvy. Well, if
So-
they just
very,
all
very tech savvy.
if they all followed your guys' podcast, maybe they could educate themselves a little bit.
Oh, I just want people to free think and think for themselves, man. That's all.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I when people disagree with me, it generally doesn't bother me.
Mm-mm.
Because as long as you formulate your own opinion and you interpret the way that the world, functions, and you come up with a different opinion than mine, has never bothered me. But if you're going to tell me, well, I saw this on CNN and they wouldn't lie to me, blah blah blah. Well, first of all, you're wrong on so many ways. I don't even have the time or the patience to explain to you why the reason CNN lies to you. And I've known plenty of liberal people like my step grandpa is super, super blue. And, we've had our times where we've argued, but we can generally have an appropriate conversation until it gets to gun rights. And that's when you lose most liberals. You start talking about gun rights.
Yeah, for sure.
And COVID, obviously. But COVID more so than guns now, obviously. But so.
Yeah, that's a whole train I could get on. But I think this is a good episode, fellas. We recorded almost 135 minutes. Denny, I'd love to have you on more, man. I like your perspectives. You're a good dude. And
Yeah.
easy talking.
Yeah, thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Like I heard that one podcast from you guys, and I'm like, wow, these guys are very articulate. They have points ready. They do clips. Like I was very excited to come on the show, and I would love to come on again. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity.
No problem.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And if you guys are listening, if you guys are interested in following Denny on Twitter, his @name is @Denny London. Denny has some great points. He's also on Twitter Spaces as well. Like I've been saying, he's in a lot of them, and he has some really great points. I've suggest everyone to check out him and give him a follow. And
Thank you.
with that being said, we'll talk to you guys next time. Have a good weekend, fellas.
You too.